Very good morning to all. I am Dr. A.M. Latte, Assistant Professor, Department of Environmental Science, Shivneri Mahavidyalaya Shivnandpal. I welcome you in this today's lecture on environment education. Dear students, in our last lecture, we have already gone through the structure of our syllabus and the content of this particular paper, environmental education and biodiversity. In this environmental education and biodiversity paper, there is a unit first, and the title of unit first is the environmental education. So, in this topic, environmental education, particularly in this lecture, we are going to study the introduction of environmental education, then history of environmental education, then goals of environmental education, then objectives of environmental education, and background of environmental education subject which has been introduced in our academic or in curriculum. So we are going to study these all contents step by step. So first is the introduction of environmental education. Dear students, as we know that we are living in the 21st century, which is a age or era of modern technology or the scientific development has been taken in particularly this 21st century. So this 21st century is also commonly called as a century of science and technology. As with the progress of this civilization, then rapid industrial developments, the problems of environmental degradation becomes a severe one or a major concern before the human society all over the world. So what are the environmental problems which we are going to face from local level to the international or global level? For example, there are different type of pollution, we call them as environmental pollutions, in which air pollution, then water pollution, soil pollution, or is also known as a land pollution, then radioactive pollution, thermal pollution. So these are some prominent examples of environmental pollutions. Then the issue of depletion of natural resources at a rapid rate means depletion of forest resources, depletion of water resources, depletion of energy resources. These are again becomes a major concerns before the human society. Then another important environmental problem in our day-to-day life is the loss of biodiversity. It means the loss of forest resources or the flora, it means the plants, again the fauna, which means the different type of animals. Then the major or the burning issue at global level is our climate change. So these are prime concerns at global level before the human society or the overall world. So to cope up with these different type of environmental problems, the human society or the human or the man is going to research on a different aspect or the different technologies or solutions to meet the challenges of environmental issues. So apart from these different type of, we call them as a solution or the mitigation measure, there is one important tool or which is considered as an important tool in a battle of environmental degradation or environmental issue is the environmental education. So in this particular slide or point, we are going to study what is the history of environmental education, means how this subject environment has become a one of the important subject or the topic in the field of education. So the role of environmental education as an indispensable tool in the battle against the degradation of the living organism. As we know that since independence period, there are large number of conferences, particularly the conferences on environment issues or the environmental aspect. There was a thorough deliberations or discussions was made at international platforms, and in that discussion one thing or the one aspect was unanimously accepted by the all heads of the participants country is that the environment education is one of the important tool to inculcate the awareness among the society regarding the environmental issues. So in the 1972 there was conference. That conference was held at Stockholm, that is 1972 conference which was held at Stockholm in Sweden, and the title or topic of that conference was human environment. And in that conference it has appealed to launch an international environmental education program worldwide. So from this 1972 the environmental education has brought a tremendous importance, and the environmental education as it plays an important role in the particularly conservation and the improvement of global environment. It has got an importance at global level itself. Then there was one another conference which was held at a Blisi. It is commonly known as Blisi Declaration in 1977, and it is for useful for the balanced development of world communities. It is considered as this environmental education is having an importance as far as the development of world community is concerned. Again, there was one another conference which was held at the Rio de Janeiro in a Brazil country in 1992, and the more emphasis has been given on the public education, awareness and training in context of environmental education. So in this way, on the international platform or on the international ground, this environmental education has got a tremendous importance as far as the environmental issues or the problems are concerned. Then there are certain goals are decided to imparting this environmental education in our curriculum or academic system. So what is the goal of environmental education? So the basic goal of environmental education to develop a world population. World population means the every individual from the world population that is aware of and concerned about. Aware means to aware, and concern. Every individual or every population should have concern about total environment and its associated problems, means there are different type of problems which are highlighted in earlier slide, that is again associated with the environment and commitment to work individual level or individual and collectively means group wise or collective efforts towards a solution of current problems and the prevention of new ones. And this is the basic goal of environmental education, which was decided in 1975 by the UNESCO. So again, beside this deciding the goals of environmental education, there are a number of new objectives and guiding principles for developing the environmental education at all levels, means in both formal level or an non-formal level. In our next lecture, we are again going to study the difference between the formal environmental education and the non-formal environmental education, or we can say that there are different modes again which are involved in the formal and non-formal education. And these guiding principles and objectives were formulated at a BLISI conference which was held in 1977. So, in this way, after thorough deliberations and a discussion at global level, there are certain goals and objectives or guiding principles were formulated to impart this environmental education through academic, or we call it as a curriculum level itself. Then there are certain objectives were formulated as we are going to impart this environmental education among the society or among the children or the students at a different age group or level in both formal and non-formal education way. So there were certain objectives were formulated or decided. So what are these objectives of environmental education? So the first objective of environmental education is the participation, means to provide the individuals or groups and societies. Individual means a single person or a group of individuals or a group of persons, and again at society level to provide with opportunities, means we are going to provide them opportunities to be actively involved in exercising their skills, means every individual is having a different type of skills. So these individuals are again get involved or participates in actively involved at all levels in working towards a sustainable type of development. In a sustainable type of development, every individual or every group or societies may play or contribute their skills to work towards the sustainable type of development. Again, the term sustainable type of development, which is new for you, the sustainable development is nothing but a development which meets the needs of the present generation or the current generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own demands. In this way, we are going to involve or provide an opportunities to these individuals and the group of individuals to participate in such type of programs. Means this is the first objectives, participation. Then there was a second objective which was formulated is knowledge. It means to help individuals, again groups and societies to gain a variety of experiences. A variety of experiences means not gaining a one type of experience from one incident or one type of experience from one environmental issues itself. So, and a basic understanding of the knowledge and action competencies required for sustainable development means that individual or that group of individuals or society may gain the variety of experiences and apply their knowledge to solve the different type of environmental issues. Then there is another objective, that is the values. The value in context to the environmental education means it value doesn't means a price or a price, that is a values to help individual or a groups in society to acquire a feeling of concern, means that every individual should have their feelings or concern about the issue of sustainability, as well as the judgment about the appropriate ways to acting individually or in group with others to promote sustainable development. Just like we are uh, learn a different type of values in our constitutions, for example national integrity, cleanliness, or different type of sanitation activities, we are gaining that values or applying our values in our day-to-day life. But apart from these, as far as the environmental education is concerned, these type of values again having a lot of importance. Then there is a skills, the skill of individual again or a group or societies to action competence or skill of environmental citizenship to be able to identify or to anticipate a different environmental problems or to work with others to resolve or to mitigate or to cope up or to minimize or to prevent such type of environmental problems. So the every individual or the every group or society may apply a different type of their skills in solving such type of problems. So this is the one of the important we call as a objective of this environmental education. Then there is a awareness. The awareness is to create an overall understanding of the impact and effects, how it, the one type of environmental issue or problem having a impact or how that problem is going to affect of behaviors and lifestyle on both local and global environments, from local level to the global level, and on short term and long term, means suppose one environmental issue which is at a local level and which is having a effect or impact on for a very shorter duration or short time, that is called as short term effect. But certain environmental issues are again having a long term effect, for example a climate change or the issue of biodiversity is having a long term effect. So every individual or every again citizen of country, we have to aware that individual or the citizen or society to different type of environmental issues and their impacts, that is in the long term effect or in a short term effect way. So after studying the goals and objective of environmental education, we should have to know how this environmental education subject or particularly the concept of environmental education has came into existence or has came into or introduced in our curriculum. So the man which is called as a green activity activist or a green lawyer Advocate Sri M.C. Mehta has filed a writ petition in Honorable Supreme Court of India. That writ petition is known as 860/1991, and in this petitions hearing, the Honorable Court has given the judgment, that is the full bench judgment, that the subject or the environmental education is to made compulsory for all levels, for all faculties, means from KG to PG or from primary education to the higher education. This environmental education has made compulsory during the hearing on this particular writ petition. Then, after the full bench judgment or order from Honorable Court, the University Grants Commission, this is the logo of University Grants Commission, abbreviatedly we call it as UGC. So this UGC has got an work, or it has assigned a duty to the UGC to make or to prepare a draft on the environmental education subject. Then the University Grants Commission has constituted one committee headed by the Tiwari, then Eric Bharucha. These are the some resource person or the member of that committee, and this committee has drafted the syllabus for the undergraduate level, and which is get implemented throughout India. And this environmental education has made compulsory from primary education to the higher education level. And in the context of particularly higher education, this environmental education has been made compulsory for all faculties. It means the students from arts, commerce, science, management, and engineering, even in law, all students have to appear to this particular environmental education subject during their degree program. Again, after introducing this subject in academic curriculum or in academic framework, even this Supreme Court issued a notice to the country's key educational bodies, means the UGC and the NCRT and the some state governments, for not implementing its direction to make environment as a compulsory subject. Because after 1991, even though the court has given a judgment to make this subject compulsory in their academic framework, some state has not make the provision for implementation of this subject, and then the honorable court has made a fine of rupees 15,000 to 10 states. Among these 10 states, including the Maharashtra, for failing to it, means it indicates how the concerned state has taken this subject in a very casual manner, or there is no seriousness about this subject has been adopted by the certain states, including our Maharashtra also. Then the government of Maharashtra has decided or directed the universities to adopt the environmental education as a compulsory subject for undergraduates, that is the with 6-month module course, which is commonly known as compulsory environmental studies, or some students or in some cases call them as a EVS, environmental studies subject. In this way, from the international platform, through the different type of conferences, again from the different type of we call them as a declarations, and again In our India context, particularly through the Honorable Supreme Court, this environmental education has came or imparted in our academics as a one of the important subject as far as the environmental issues or different type of environmental problems are concerned. So in this way, in this particular lecture, we have highlighted the introduction of environmental education or the concept of environmental education. We have also covered the history of environmental education. Then we have focused the goals, then different type of objectives of environmental education, and then the history or the background of environmental education means how this subject was imparted in our academic framework from international platforms to our university level or at a college level itself. So in this way, we here conclude our first point of unit first, that is the environmental education or the topic of environmental education. If you have some queries or doubts regarding this topic or the content of this topic, you are feel free to contact me on my mobile number, then my email address and my WhatsApp number is also with you, as I have provided it to you in our during our routine classes. Thank you.